How's it going, guys? It's Nathan from Nathan's DIY Garage, and today we're back inside, as you can clearly see here. We're back under the studio lighting, and we're going to show you the common failures for the BMW E39 window regulators, front and rear. Okay, so we have here, if I can reach it without pulling the camera over, we have a window regulator from a BMW E39. Let me go and get you back in the screen here. Table's almost not big enough for it. We're on the set of Nathan's MRE. We got some cardboard down so we don't ruin our background. So bear with me on that. It is snowing again today. So we are waiting on parts for the E53X5, waiting on the power steering pump, waiting on airbags and a few other little tidbits. It should all be on its way here. And we'll get that thing up and running. So here we have a front driver, I believe, window regulator. This is out of a 1999 E39, so it's going to be the same regulator from 1996 up to 2003. And this is going to go the same for all the E39s. This will fit the... well, you guys in Europe, the 520, 523, 525, 528, 530, and the elusive 535, E39, and the 540, as well, I should say, as the E39 M5. So, these are really common for the regulator to not roll the window up, or to actually not break, but for the glass to pull out. So the main fail points are these little red flanges here. Now these could be any color. A lot of times those will shatter. Depends on the age of the window regulator. And there's also issues with the pulley shattering. Excuse me. Once the pulley shatters, it derails the cable. Everything kind of goes downhill from there. But there's a few other things you have to know also. As we're looking at it from this angle, this is the bottom, this is the top. You can see these little hangers, which are right here and right here. You can barely see that guy. There we go, should barely fit in the camera angle. These have a screw that actually pinches the glass in, and it has two rubber pieces. It pinches the glass in there. A lot of times, a window regulator, or people think their window regulator is shot, it won't roll the window down. Most of the time what happens in freezing cold weather is it pulls the glass out of the holder, and then your glass is no longer attached to your window regulator. That's easy to fix. You take the door panel off. If you roll the window regulator down, you don't have to take anything else off. You get in there, you could just put the glass back in the little pinchers here and tighten the screws back up, and you're good to go. Now, unfortunately, there's no way to tell that unless you take the door panel off, because also cold weather takes out the regulators themselves. The regulators themselves, is the little cable holder and the pulley. Obviously in cold weather, those get brittle. They could shatter, but most likely, if it's cold weather breakage, it's this. The next thing we're going to show you is the motor. The motor rarely ever goes out on an E39. A lot of people ask me, so Nathan, get on eBay, you could buy the whole window regulator for 20 bucks. I think they're even less now. I think they're 18 or 19. Minus the motor. A lot of these guys had Chevys or Fords their whole lives. Those are common for the motor going out. BMW is not common for that at all. A lot of times if you have a slow window regulator, it's not the motor. Usually it's to do with window tint on the glass, or something with the rubber seal in the door was not put back in correctly. So that being said, how these actually are removed, I have a couple videos of these up early on. I'll put a link at the end of the video. It'll pop up when you're done watching this. To actually remove these, there's a few tricks to them. You have to pull the trim off at the bottom of the glass where it meets the door. The chrome trim, you have to pop it off. You have to take the door panel off. You got to fish it around. It's held in several different places. On the bottom here, it has two 10mm bolts right here and right here. It also has two at the top in the middle of the pulleys, and then depends on which year. It could have one here, this one does, it could not, just all depends. But that is the front window regulator for the E39. And one more thing, obviously the motor just unscrews right here with these 5 torque spit screws. So a lot of times when these are bad, you'll take the motor off and you'll pull it up and all the cable will just be all balled up in it. Okay, so that's enough of that. Here, what I have is the rear regulator from the rear of a BMW E39. Make sure that's focused for you guys. The light's a little too bright on the white surface there. The rears are a little bit easier. There's 2 different types. They have this kind. There's also another double that looks more like the front. So E38, E39 could have either one. They all interchange. This is the most common, just the single piece in the middle. This is also very similar to the E46 rear window regulator. This is the same way. These are super notorious. Even though it's a simpler operation, super notorious for going out. And if you go to buy an E39 anywhere, you could almost lay money on it that you're going to have to put window regulators in it. Now, the last ones we did were from China off eBay. I've probably done, man, guys, I really don't know, probably 20 sets of those. And when I was buying a lot of E39s, I would just buy a set of 4. Because what would happen if you only replace the broken one or 2, or sometimes 3, it wouldn't be long and the other ones would go out. So by replacing these, you're going to ensure the plastic on your pulley is good and soft. It's not petrified and hard. You're going to ensure the plastic on your little hanger here is good to go. And these are the same way. The motor never goes out. They have a screw. What was the deal with this? It's been so long, I don't remember. They have a screw on top and I don't remember what holds it in the bottom. I think it just screws to the interior of the door through these guys right here. I remember right. So yeah, you can see this cable is a little loose. That's perfectly normal though. There's no problems with it whatsoever. So just to clarify, when I do the E39, I order all 4 window regulators. They're like $90 free shipping, probably less now. None of those come with the motors. We always use the same motor. Never have any issue. Now, compared to the issue on the E36 and E34, I know this video is not about that, but a lot of you guys that have E39s also have E36s. So here is a regulator from a E34. This is very similar, pretty much identical to a E36. Now, don't go buy an E34 regulator and try to put an E36. It's not going to fit. The setup is identical. The bolt pattern is not. They sit in there, they bolt in, and the window has a track on the bottom, a rail on the bottom. And these plastics, make sure that's focused, these plastics slide in that track. And they're held in by a clip, which this clip isn't even in there. I don't know, it's stuck on her, getting all greasy. So this slides in the track. These are notorious for snapping these clips. This one is somewhat broken here on the end. You can see this end's actually shattered off of it. A lot of times the clips will come off, but that's not even the worst part. What'll happen, it doesn't even have to have a broken clip to bend this rail. And if you have some sticky window tint, if you have a rubber track problem, track seal problem, or if you try to roll it down when the window is frozen, when it's super cold outside, the motor is strong enough, it'll pull so hard, it'll actually twist these main bars. Now, you probably saw my E36 318i video a while back. If you watched the channel for a while, we did one of these regulators, this driver front, tried to bend it back. No matter what you do, once it's bent, it's trash. You can never bend it back or ever work right again. The biggest thing on even E30 is kind of similar to this. It's slightly different. I might have an E30 regulator here somewhere. But you need to lubricate these shafts, these tracks, and these gliders. If you don't and they start getting dry, they'll bind up or they get rusty and it'll snap them off. Also, whenever you're doing these, and you could buy these the same way, they're about $24 off eBay. Make sure you have some nice grease. Make sure you lubricate these guys. Make sure you lubricate the track on the window, the metal track. Make sure you lubricate the gear. If you do all that, there's never any problem. You could find these older ones with the motor on them for pretty cheap too. It's not really that big of a deal. This one has a spring up here, like a cushion spring. So if there's a problem, it won't just snap it off. It has a little bit of give to it. But that's it, guys. Really not hard to deal with these window regulators on these cars. I'll put the 318 window regulator, E36 318 video on the last part of the video here. The screen will pop up the last 20 seconds, and the E39 videos I have up of doing these regulators. But don't take them to the shop. There's no need to take these to the shop and pay somebody $600-700. I don't even know what BMW charges for a new one of these. Probably more than that per window. Don't do that. Go out and spend you $90. Sit down, watch my videos, take your time, replace all the regulators in it. It is fixed for good. You know, if you have some regulators in your car you took out are still good, save those for a spare. You can use in a pinch. That is it, guys. I'll quit babbling. That is all for today's video, and thanks for watching.